Every single morning I get up and I'm like, there's no way I can hate running a shop more than I do right now. Right? And then something happens and I'm like, oh, nope, I hate it that much more.
But tell us what happened this morning.
It's every day. It's every day. I don't know. I don't understand how that's possible. I just don't get it.
What happened?
What hasn't happened? Let's start there.
We take the trust of our listeners very seriously, and I hope that you know that when I say that Shopware is the best automotive shop management system, I believe it in my heart of hearts. And now it's even better. With new features like Tech App, it streamlines the inspection and dispatching process for you and your technicians. And with massive improvements to Shopware's exclusive digital vehicle experience, they have stepped their game up to a whole new level. So if you haven't scheduled a demo yet, click the link in the show notes and do it today. If you've already had a demo and you were waiting to finally switch, there has never been a better time. So click that link and get started today.
Repair Pal.
Thank God.
So I fire Repair Pal, and we had put a plan in place. And the plan was, hey, we're going to hand out these cards. We're going to make sure that the customers know, hey, you don't have to call Repair Pal. Call us directly. You can still get the savings, blah, blah, blah. We have all that. In my mind, of course, I don't follow up on anything because then that makes me have to go work, right? I don't want to be at the shop. And so in my mind, that's getting done. Guess how much of that got done? 0. So when I fired Repair Pal, guess what happened to my car count? Yeah. So 70% of my car count gets wiped out within 2 to 3 weeks. 70% of my car count. So now we're operating on 30% of the car count. And so revenue is completely gone. We're drying up, money's drying up crazy fast. I have a tech who goes on vacation. So we're like, you know what? We're going to ride this out. I'll make amends with Repair Pal, which I did. I had to go crawling back to them going, hey, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
It is what it is, dude. It's either that or I got to close the effing shop, which I wouldn't mind, but not in the situation that I'm in right now. I don't want to owe this vendor $10,000 and then I got to close the shop the next day. Let's not do that. So let me pay the $10,000 and then I'll close the shop. So I go back, I make amends with Repair Pal. I'm like, hey, turn us back on, whatever. Meanwhile, the technician's out on vacation. He comes back and he's like, hey, I really want to work part-time. I really don't want to work full-time. Like, dude, my techs bill me 30 hours on a good week.
You are working part-time.
The fuck? What are you talking about? But whatever. I want the guy happy. Fine. We'll make it work. You know what? We're going to 4 days a week because I want to be open that fewer hours. I'm not going to make any less money. You can't make less than 0. I'm going into the negative. I can't make less than that. What am I going to go further into the red? I'm already in the red. Screw it. We're just going to 4 days a week. So I have a whole day. I don't have to freaking mess with the shop. I can come into the office, I can mess with the podcast stuff, I can do my editing, and then that's it. The whole time, I don't have to worry about the shop being open. I won't have to worry about the shop being open. So that's what we're doing. We're just going to extend hours a little bit. That guy's going to work part-time. We're going to find another tech, and it is what it is.
It's really interesting. I was sitting here talking to Brett right when you came in, and he was pointing out, and a lot of people are pointing this out right now, that car count is down for them as well. My car count is not down. I'm just super inefficient, so we don't ever get anything done. So it doesn't really matter. But we were sitting here talking, and I don't know how much you've looked into it, David, but we've started moving towards programmatic advertising more and more. I'm dropping some of the radio station advertisements that we were doing. I'm adjusting some of the other stuff and bringing that back and really focusing on programmatic as our primary thing. Like some Facebook and brand recognition. Braxton still comes up and records videos, but really everything we're doing is kind of moving in that direction. And, we've always said 30, 60, 90 days. I've found with programmatic, it seems to be much more effective because it's so highly targeted that I can get people in much faster. Have you looked at programmatic at all for you?
Yeah, I met with shop marketing pros and I said, hey, my car count completely disappeared overnight. And they said, yeah, let's get this fixed. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a whole mess of different things. We're going to be geofencing around CarMax.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody that walks into CarMax, they're going to get spammed with my ads telling them that, hey, we can fix your car. You don't need to call CarMax. It's a whole thing. We've got a plan. It's going to be fine, but for the next like 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to be stressed out of my mind.
Brett, share a little bit, because like I know we're supposed to be talking about events and things like that, but I do believe this is current event kind of discussion that's important, because a lot of shops are talking about this right now. Explain a little bit about your car count, what we're talking about, what you just experienced.
Yeah. So typically our car counts, 50 north of 50 a week. Again, ARO is still decently healthy at said between 900 and 1,000. But yeah, we just seem to be right now, like yesterday, booking about 2 to 3 appointments per tech. But the last 2 to 3 weeks before that, like if we were getting 1 appointment a day per tech, we were lucky. And those appointments were oil changes and tire swaps and that kind of thing. We were getting some work out of it, just based on doing our DVIs. Thank God, because, we weren't doing that a year and a half ago. So I can only imagine. And customers, even the ones that are coming in, are they're declining. They're declining the work. And then you hear it half an hour later, that customer is chiming in on one of our local Facebook groups. Hey, can I find a backyard mechanic to do this and then that? And it's like, okay, so do I have the wrong customer? Or is that, I think personally, that's just the situation that people are in right now.
Now, tell us a little bit about your demographic.
No, and here's the problem with that, Brett. Here's the problem with that mindset. And I get where you're coming from, and you're like, oh, these people, those mother effers were standing in line waiting for their goddamn iPhone Pro 17 Max, whatever. They were standing in line waiting for it to pay Steve Jobs, whatever, what's the guy's name? Tim Cook, $1,700 for a phone slightly better than the one they had in their hands already. Slightly better. Yeah. Which the only reason why it slowed down is because Apple artificially throttled it down. That's the only reason why they're having to buy a new one, because they're like, it's not as snappy as this new one. Yeah, it's because they throttled it down.
Well,
because your battery slightly degraded.
Really got me with my battery life. I upgraded to iOS 26, and it's I charge my phone twice a day instead of once a day. So.
Well, you make a good point,
so
because
these people are making choices on what they're spending their money on. They're making stupid choices. They're not fixing their ship boxes. Instead, they're running out to buy the new iPhone. If
making payments on it.
If I didn't see the line 1.5 miles long standing outside the Apple store, you know what? Yeah, everybody's hard up. Yeah, they're scraping by. No, they're not. Yeah. They're not. They're just choosing not to fix the car, and they're dumping the money into iPhones.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, they don't want to pay they don't even want to finance it. I mean, like you guys, I'm sure, have like financing options too. So like, no, I think we're just going to go get another vehicle.
Doesn't give them the dopamine hit.
Yeah, I guess.
Now look, I'm just gonna be real with you. The whole thing for me with financing is like, yes, I have financing options now. I don't have to touch it. Yeah. Shopware says, do you need to finance this repair? Do you know how much stuff gets financed that I don't even know it got financed?
I might pick up a second merchant processor just to have that. Yeah, like if they come in, we'll swipe and we'll use the regular credit card machine because I've got that dual funding thing. But I might just switch that and go, hey, you can pay online and do the whole financing, just so I don't have to mess with it.
Our financed repair orders are probably 10x up
this
time of year what they were last year because of Shopware's feature where you just click the button. Dude, that is like the best thing to come out recently. I'm so happy about it. Yeah. And we still, we're explaining to the customer, like, hey, you got 90 days to pay this off and you better do it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot more.
Bro, I'm not explaining anything. This is a you problem. You chose to do this. I didn't suggest it. I didn't say anything. You clicked that button.
I still feel bad because when they call, who they call when the price triples.
Yeah.
They're calling you, going, hey, why did this go all of a sudden go to $3,000? Because you didn't pay the last $10 off, numbnuts. That's why.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the big thing for me was like I was kind of like I thought I was ethically opposed to like financing that way, and then somebody's like, "What's their credit card interest rate?" 30%? Well, what's the difference, man?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I do believe that there has been a little bit of an economic slowdown. I'm not going to say there's not, and I think that some of the more savvy individuals, like government shutdown, stuff like that, doesn't even bother them because they understand what it means. They know it doesn't mean anything, right? But some of I believe the less informed are the ones who are more nervous about it, more worried about it because they don't understand what it means. They don't understand it has very little impact. And so they get
Depends
nervous.
on your area, though.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
You're like, I'm just telling you right now, like I've got huge, like the IRS. There's 2 giant IRS facilities in Kansas City.
They should be doing very well right now.
None of them are getting paid. None of the employees are getting paid. So
can we keep it that way for a period?
Yeah, I'm good shutting them down. But the problem, though, is that if you've got a large federal government employee sector in your city, which I do, 100% we do, they're not getting paid. So all of a sudden, that portion of your customer pool is not spending money on anything because they don't have any money coming in.
We're going through a teacher strike right now, and the entire province of Alberta. So we're talking like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of teachers, and locally here, and they're not getting paid. Like they're not getting strike paid. My wife is a teacher, so I'm have some insight there. But I did see kind of a direct correlation between the postal strike, which is also happening, and now the teacher strike. There was a healthcare worker strike months ago, and that seems to be rotating now, and that's probably contributing quite heavily into it. I would say we have a lot of our customers are teachers, and you can't afford to do certain things, and they're not gonna fix. No.
Well, and we do have to take into account that repair prices have gone up more and more and more, and we don't, because we're so close to it.
It's gone up.
We don't see it as much. It has. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But like, how far can it go up? Right. And we've got technicians who want to be paid more, right? And I believe they need to be paid more. I'm not saying they don't, but technicians want to be paid more. We've got higher part prices, lower quality parts, which means that we have to build additional margin somewhere because we're going to have to replace them for free at some point. Yep. Sooner or later, this just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Meanwhile, there's a couple big corporations stuffing their pockets full of profit, and the consumer's going, hey, I can't continue to pay this, right? Yeah. Like, I think to a degree, some of this comes back to corporate inflation because there's a lot, and I've talked to some parts people, not like low down in the parts company working as salespeople, that kind of thing, parts people. I've talked to some other people who point out like, hey, we lowered our cost and increased our margin and called it inflation. What do you think's going to happen? Right? Like, come on now, the money's got to come from somewhere.
These consumers are going out and buying these shit boxes. Look, I had somebody message me and they go, "Hey, they're wanting to charge me like, I don't know, I think it was $14,000 to replace a transmission on a Ford F-150." And how much was a transmission replacement? I don't know, 10 years ago. Like $5,000,
$5,000.
Yeah, like $3,500 to $5,000 for a transmission replacement. They're $14,000 now. Well, why? Well, it's a freaking, like, I don't know, 10-speed sequential whatever nonsense transmission. Like, what'd you expect? You bought that shit box. You could have kept your 1998 F-150 with the 4-speed because those are still cheap to repair. But you didn't. You wanted to trade it in with the touch screen and all that jazz. Well, guess what? Now you get to pay for it. And,
how much of
the transmissions don't last.
How much of that is manufacturer planned? How much of it's manufacturer planned, though? Because you got to look at that and say, okay, if that's the case, the manufacturer knew what they were doing, right? Yeah. Are they literally building automobiles that consumers have no choice but to replace?
I think a lot of it's driven by our, fuel economy standards too, and saying, hey, you got to get marginally better every year.
Yeah.
If they have to have a 2% improvement, and they're like, we need to add an extra gear.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to change something because we've fully optimized the way the engine runs. They're going to find it, like BMW did between the N54 and the N55. They went from 540 to 020, so there was less frictional loss in the engine. So, improvement of fuel economy. The only thing we did is make your engine last long.
Exactly. Like, I mean, and for BMW to say that is really saying something. I mean, like, seriously. And cooling system components, right? They're made of plastic. It's to reduce the overall weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, those have been.
But your coolant will last 200,000 kilometers or whatever you guys.
You collect it off your driveway and put it back in.
Right? You hit a bump and it breaks. Oh, that's awful.
Full cooling system service every 8 years on BMWs. Every hose, every plastic piece, the electric water pump, the electric thermostat.
Ain't nobody doing that. They're trading it in.
And they're not doing it.
That's exactly. And then I have to hit the third owner with the bill for it. It's going to be $4,000 to service the cooling system. Well, I only paid $4,000 for the car. Well, yeah, you're an idiot.
Hey, listen, we have a policy in this shop that when you're closing the hood on a BMW that's older than 4 years or that it's over 100,000 miles, you allow the hood to close to the latch by hand and push it down because you slam the hood too hard and coolant pipes break. Okay. Like I'm just telling you, you got to be careful, man. You got to don't hit bumps. Don't hit bumps going through the parking lot. Yes. I don't know, man. It's rough. Well, so Brett, you're in the Great White North. Like, what are you doing for training? Like, where do you get your training and how are you getting to events? Because I know there's not that much up there. You know, we're talking about marketing. Where are you getting the information on the marketing and the things that you're doing to develop the business? I know
from you guys.
You're not even coming to visit, though. Having training events at the shop, you're not flying it. There were people here from Alaska and Seattle, and you still didn't come. I'm
no, I know. And that was, I was like, I want to go to that. I want to go to that. And life happened and bills are tight. And I was like, can I afford it costs me $4,000 to get a plane ticket to go from one end of the country to the other. Like it's ridiculous to travel. I love going to trade shows. When I was with Napa, that was one of my favorite things. Like the expo in Vegas.
Yeah.
I would say 2021, 2020. It would have been 2020 or so. Anyway.
Yeah, right before COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I went to that and with all it opened my eyes and I was already on the cusp of getting out, looking for a shop. And then I sat in on Carm's, his town hall, I guess.
Yeah.
Carm Capriato's. And that was like, I can do this. If I listen to these guys, if I listen to my podcast, you guys, all of the aftermarket radio stuff, I'm not going to, Mr. Allen, I won't follow him in too much, but, that's where I get a lot of this stuff. And I also have a coach. We go through auto shop coaching. And I've had a coach since then. And one of the things that we discussed was going to and getting involved in more of these conferences and training seminars and so on and so forth. There's not a lot in this country.
Yeah. I
mean, I think the only one that I'm aware of that's like Canadian is Murray Voth and his RPM training. Which again, sorry, go ahead.
He is working on getting an event started up. And we've worked with Jeff to get Jeff to that event. Because they are trying to have an event. But, one of the things Murray said is he's like, look, dude, we were talking with Jeff, and Jeff said, why do we not have any of this in Canada? And Murray said, well, because like over here, all the way on this end of the country is one subset, and then all the way on the other end of the country, and it's dead man's land in the middle. There's nothing. Yeah. And he said, like, there's these fractions, and there's not enough people that come to those events. And he was talking about the number of shops. And he said, we just don't have that same volume like you have in the U.S. to be able to support it. And trade shows are expensive, right? Like, until I was on the board of ASTA, I had no clue how much money has to go into a trade show to make it work. Yeah. People are like, oh, my God, it's so expensive. Right? Well, it takes money to make that happen. And then it grows, and it takes so much more space and so much more food and so much more logistics that it does get expensive, and somehow it's got to be paid for. Yeah. And especially if you don't have the sponsors to do it. And so, like, it almost makes sense to say, hey, it's kind of worth the travel to the States for those events that have become established and got it working, right? Like, Apex. Mark does such a good job with Apex, and he's figured out how to make it work without hitting the attendee over the head. I'm not saying that other shows do, but he's figured out how to make it work, right? Yeah. And once they get that down and they get it figured out, that's the show you want to go to, right? Yeah. Like you want to go to the shows that have it figured out. Jacob, what's your go-to trade show?
That's ASTA now. So in the past, I done STX a handful of times as a technician.
Yeah.
Right. And then we had a local one, which was Tech Expo. And I would say Tech Expo at its peak was probably size comparable to ASTA.
Okay.
But it was only one day.
Okay.
So one day of training and a trade show, and they ran out of money. They closed it. So last year was the last one that they're ever planning on doing. To the end of it, it takes money to do it. It's very evident.
Yeah. For sure. And I think it's a catch-22 for the sponsors, right? Because the sponsors show up to these events and they say, look, I didn't get a return on investment. That cost me $10,000. What's my return on investment? How many people signed up and used my product or came and bought stuff from us or whatever it is? And so I think that if we want these shows to continue, it means that we have to go and utilize the products that we find there and make sure that we're purchasing those products or working with those vendors, because that tells them, hey, it's a value to come back. Well, but I mean, like if the same people are the ones coming to the show over and over again, we're all already Shopware users. You know what I mean? Like, we can't sign up again. I mean, I'm sure Monique would let us.
I talked to her about purchasing the domain for another shop. They're on Shopware. I was like, can I just take over their information? So she was telling me how to effectively do that. But
right. So you're going to shop number 2? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I got a local guy who has talked about shutting down his shop a couple of times, and he wants to basically email all of his customers and tell them that they're now my customers.
Right.
So I was like, well, if I can take
that's
over
interesting.
the database, that'd make it a lot easier.
Yeah. And just have it there and like almost treat it as if it's a second shop. That's an interesting concept. Like not necessarily bill as a second shop or anything like that, but to be able to access the service history and all that as if it was yours.
Yeah. Yep.
What is your economy like around you right now? Because you're in a unique area. Are you seeing more shops close? Are you seeing, because I'm talking to some people and they're saying, hey, I see them build new shops on every corner. And then I'm talking to some people and they're saying, hey, every shop in town's shutting down. What are you seeing?
No, I'm somewhere in the middle. We haven't had any new shops built here, but there is shops. The one directly across the street from me is a muffler man. They just reopened a handful of months ago, and they're running their $20 oil change specials. So I just smile and wave, let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And then my old building, I actually leased out to a couple of young guys, so they opened a shop up a half mile up the road from me. And there is 2 or 3 other shops that are new within the last year, just opening in garages that have been closed. But yeah, not any big ones going out of business yet.
One man shows for the most part.
To it. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Not necessarily one man shows, but like the guy. There's 2 buddies that are in the shop that I'm leasing out, just doing their thing. I'm sure not paying themselves well enough, just based on their prices.
For sure.
And then the other one is a guy owned a construction company and had an opportunity to buy a shop, so he's running a shop very poorly because his focus is still on his construction company up the road. And I don't think any of them are gonna be a big threat.
What about you, Brett? What's happening to the shops in your neighborhood? What are you seeing?
I haven't seen any closed down recently, but we're seeing a lot more of these little, I say one man shops, but like, little pop-ups here and there, like these shops that I've never heard of. And I've been out of the parts business for a while, so I kind of had a pulse on all the new shops, and now these are just brand new. I've never heard of them before. I don't know what they are, what they do. You hear rumors, people telling you things, but how much stock do you put in it? There's a shop in my we're kind of, city center. We're in the crux, pretty much in the middle of the city. So we have a lot of older buildings around us and a lot of shops kind of popping up. There's us. There's one a block away, which is they're a huge place. I would say next to the dealerships, they're one of the biggest shops in town. But then there's these two little shops, and they're right next door to each other, separate businesses altogether. And to my knowledge, neither one of them have an actual licensed technician. Yeah, I don't even know if they're registered apprentices. I don't know that much, but those are the, and again, they're doing the, lower labor rates, like that kind of stuff, which is, to me, is correct because you're not actually, licensed.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
But the public perception though is pretty poor as far as like a lot of people just don't see put any value in the technician, the tickets. They're looking for the backyard guys. They just want to save some money. They don't care. They want the job. They want it fixed, but they want it fixed cheap and right. And they learn the hard way, but a lot of vehicles we see here are from other shops that can't fix the problem, didn't fix it the first time, or people tried to fix it themselves and they couldn't do it. So, yeah.
I mean, at some point we're going to get to the level where folks begin to understand. And I mean, like the level of complexity in a modern automobile is pretty insane, right?
No, we're not.
You're probably right, Jacob.
But they've got this iPhone in their hand that'll do everything. It's got AI on it now. It'll answer all of their questions, and they've got the same thing in the middle of their truck, and it does everything. And they're looking at it as, well, my car's smart enough to not break, and my car's smart enough to tell the mechanic what to fix when it does break. If you look at, BMW's been doing it for a long time. In the center stack, it comes up and says, change your brake fluid. Change the oil now. The car's telling us what to do. What value does a mechanic have?
Yeah, it's very true.
I know for a fact that it doesn't matter how well we explain our unique value proposition. We go through and we tell the customer what we're doing for them, how we're doing it better, how we're standing behind it with a nationwide warranty, and they're still calling the shop up the road and saying, well, he's going to do it for half the price. I'm going to go up there.
Yeah. Well, I used to think that it was just the car thing, though. Right? Like I always looked at it like it was just the car and the consumer. And now I'm starting to see that guys, it's not just about cars. It's about everything in their life. Okay? Mm-hmm. They come into the family business and they complain about a $1.20 bag of chips. Well, this bag wasn't as full as I think it should have been. You gave me too much ice in my drink. I mean, like, seriously. And we have become a society of complainers. And I really genuinely believe that we complain because we think we're going to get some sort of discount. And we've taught people that if you complain enough, I'll just write this off. I'll just give you a refund. I'll just whatever it is. Yeah. Right? But I think it's become a societal thing because this is something that should be fun. It should be enjoyable. Now, there's things I can see, right? So it's interesting because we have two tickets up there. One's called a legacy ticket, which is like the base experience. It's what they would have gotten 15 or 20 years ago before anything was added to the business. It's just like the base experience. And the price of that is set based on what it costs to operate per person coming through the door. And then there's another ticket that includes everything, and it's $20 more expensive. They never complain about the ticket that's more expensive. They complain about the cheaper ticket. Mm-hmm. And so I can see, like I can logic that, hey, we have a value problem with this. We're not offering enough value. We're not bringing enough to the table. So that makes sense to me. But the people that just complain about everything, they do this everywhere they go. There's nothing that avoids it.
Yeah, you hear story after story from shop owners of I got this 1-star review, and so I looked at the person, and they've written 42 1-star reviews. It's the only thing they do is complain.
Yeah.
That's a serious subset of people that we have who are, they've got a strange sense of entitlement and a victim mentality of everybody's out to screw everybody else, and they're just trying to make the most money possible. And so you got to look out for yourself. And if it's a $1.40 bag of chips, you go in there and say, well, this only costs you 50 cents. You shouldn't be ripping people off at $1.40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much of it is the human centric aspect, right? Like how much of it is that they want a very customized experience. They want something where they're being coddled almost. And that's a lot of work. I think that's something that we discount. Like David has a way that he runs his shop and it works perfectly for him. But we've always gone above and beyond with guest service here in my shop. And we've worked really hard to create an amazing experience. The problem is that's exhausting. Maybe just a little. Maybe just a little. I don't know. Sorry, David. I wasn't trying to like. I mean, I think everybody
my
knows.
ARO is still over 1,000. It's just a car count issue.
I think that there's a spot for every shop in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like the concierge service of Lucas's shop, and then the more basic drilled down service, we'll say, of David's shop. And there's people that appreciate that, and then there's people that don't give a flying rat's ass about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because some of the tips, like I think Kim Walker was one of them. Like, when you give your customer their bill, give them a cookie.
Yeah.
They
Is the
think
cookie
more about
rubber?
the cookie.
That's the question I have. Is the cookie
Dad's
rubber? Do you want a
cookies.
rubber
They're
cookie?
It's more like
Let's-
crunchy cardboard, I guess, with chocolate in it.
Got it.
What was the
They
name of the
appreciate
pickle? Was
that.
that Zig Ziglar?
No.
No.
Give him the pickle was what is his name? I watched it just the other day. Owned the restaurant chain on the West Coast, maybe Seattle or something like that.
Bob Farrell.
Bob. Yep. Sorry, Brett. We didn't mean to interrupt. I mean,
No,
Jacob may
that's
have,
fine.
but I'm apologizing for him.
Well, you're proving my point, though, that's what people think about. You're not thinking about the work order of the car. You're thinking about the cookie. And I thought that one stuck with me, and we do that here as well. And I think that's important to not to make the customer forget about the $4,000 they just spent, but to make it an easier experience, and between, whatever services you provide, shuttles, loaners, whatever, taxis, coffees. I think people want that. And
here's the thing, right? And I know, David, you've got something to say, but I'm going to step on my own model here a little bit, and I'm going to talk trash about it for a second. The problem is that they begin to expect that. And something that I was doing as a courtesy now becomes a demand in their eyes.
No.
Yeah.
Right? I got a complaint the other day because we didn't wash somebody's car. It was pouring the rain. It was nasty out. And she says, you usually wash my car. I was very disappointed you didn't wash my car. I understand, ma'am. I'm very sorry. It was pouring the rain and we couldn't facilitate that. Well, I don't understand why you would wash it last time if you're not going to wash it this time in this like smart aleck tone. And it's like, dude, we do that to be nice. You're not paying me for that. Right? Well, I am paying you for that because I paid to have my car repaired. And if you did it last time, you should have done it this time. Now that's just one client, but like, I've been around David too long. The people with the ingratitude, I am really having a hard time with these days. Right? Yeah. We just had a situation where we went above and beyond to help somebody. Right? Like $5,000 above and beyond to help somebody. And I got a list of complaints of all the things that we did wrong and how we should have done things differently. And it's like, seriously? That's how you look at this?
Yeah.
That's the thing that drives me nuts about the modern consumer.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you going to say, David? You were getting ready to say something, and I just have to know.
No, it's the same thing you were saying. I just can't. One, I can't be disingenuous like that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you paid me $1,000. I fixed your ship box. Here's your fixed ship box. Pay me the $1,000. Go away. And you're 100% right. People like, you give them a cookie and they're like, "Oh, cookie," and that's all they think about is the cookie. I get a cookie and I go, I mean, it's nice that they gave me a cookie, but I just spent $1,000 with them. Like, I don't care about the cookie. I just want the car fixed. I paid the $1,000. That's just me personally. And lots of businesses do it. They throw in that little like gift or this or that or whatever, and you're like, I just find it a little disingenuous. It's me personally. Okay, so because I find it disingenuous, I have a hard time doing the cookie and the gifts and the little the thank you note with the picture of the tech with the family, and thanks to you, I get to feed my family today. And then the little gift basket. Dude, the shops do it. Shops do it all the time. I see it all the time. I can't do it because I find it just gross. I find it disingenuous. I really do. Yeah. You paid me X. I delivered Y. We're good. We are even. Even Steven. Go away. That's it. And then the other thing is, like, you start to add these little concierge services, like Lucas is saying, and at some point, these people need to grow the F up. I don't know how many goddamn adults, they can vote. They can vote, people. They can vote. Their vote counts the same as mine. That's why I get upset. They walk into my shop, and I'm like, you're dropping it off, right? And they're like, I don't have anywhere else to go. It's like, okay, you've had this appointment on the schedule for a week. Like, you couldn't figure something out in a week? In a week? You didn't know where you were going to go? I got no one to give me a ride. A week? Like, get your shit together. Are you serious? Why don't you grab your $1,700 phone and download a freaking ride-sharing app and order yourself a ride and go the hell home? They can't figure it out. They're like looking at me like lost puppies. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do without my car. I'm going to sit here and stare at you until it's fixed. No, you're not. That's not happening. I make my chairs as uncomfortable as possible. I give the illusion that we have a television. Guess what? It doesn't work. Try turning it on. It's unplugged. There's no TV here. We don't have waiters, sir. Those chairs are uncomfortable, aren't they? Yeah, why don't you go the F home? Go home. I don't know how to do that without someone holding my hand and doing it for me. No. And their vote counts the same as mine. That's my problem with it.
Give them a ride.
I do. They trust me. Yeah, like, yeah. No, it's these people that I'm like, they don't have money. They don't have money. You know what they're going to do? I can't afford that. Okay, so don't drive your car. Guess what? The wheel's about to fall off. Why don't you go kill someone? Why don't you do that? This is what I tell them on the phone. It's like, well, sir, your wheel's about to fall off, and it's dangerous to drive the car. I understand you don't have the $500, but your choice is to either fix it for the $500 or don't drive the car, because if you think you can just drive away in this thing, be perfectly fine, you got another thing coming. You're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know either. Well, figure it out. I got to figure my shit out. I don't want to have to figure my shit and your shit out. That's a problem. And if I'm going to, how much are these coaches charge people? How much are they charging nowadays? I don't know, $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 a month? How about you pay me $2,000 a month? I will fix all your problems. I will fix all your problems. I want my $2,000 and I will fix your problems. Oh, you're not going to pay me the $2,000? Then fix your own shit. Why are you making me have to figure out these problems for you? I have a problem with that. So you know what? No issue. No concierge, nothing. You dropped your car off. You came here for a fixed car. That's what we're going to deliver. A fixed car. For a specific problem, by the way. I can't fix everything on your shitbox unless you got unlimited money.
I mean, that does bring up a topic like, should we all just lower our prices and offer a bare bones service? Right? Like, there's shops around here that are doing that, and they're packed full.
That's the problem, Lucas. You can't lower the prices because you can't fix the car properly with the lower price. That's the problem.
I'm just saying, there's people up here paying their guys $15 an hour. Okay, they don't offer any warranty. They often talk about how they don't have any money to help a client if something goes wrong. Like, man, I know we put the wrong battery in that thing, but I don't really have any money or whatever it is, right? So they don't have the money to fix the problem if something goes wrong. And so, but they're doing fine, right? They're putting money in the bank account. They're surviving, they're going, but they don't add all these amenities. They don't add all this stuff. They're still writing paper tickets. And you know, we talk about liabilities, we talk about insurance things, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen to them. Right?
Wasn't there a guy in the comments section on one of those Shopware ads? And he's like, I don't know why you guys are spending so much money on software. You guys are just having to jack up the price of your repairs in order to cover for it. And it's like, dude, it's because this allows for good record taking.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
I need the record taking to cover my ass because you think you're doing a service to the customer until there's a problem. And the minute
Can
there's
I
a
ask a
problem,
question?
what's that?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do people genuinely think shopware is expensive?
Oh yeah, some do.
Well,
I
this
mean,
guy
I think it's
did.
crazy, but yeah, some do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy
Shopware's
crap.
got tiered pricing. I mean, like I pay,
And it pays for
$500 a month.
itself. Even in the very
Yeah.
top tier, it's
Yeah.
like,
We're top tier, and it's half the price of what we were on before, which was a computer-based program. You were
Yeah.
paying per PC, and you couldn't do anything on it, anything other than a Windows PC.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the open market, I think, has brought down the pricing of shop management systems. But
Yeah.
this guy's point was that the minute you have to add these services on, like I don't know, service information and insurance,
Yeah,
and just
for
things
sure.
like that,
I remember that.
you have to jack up the prices of your repairs. It's like, yeah, dude, because that's a bare minimum to do business. Like you have to have good record taking, you have to have insurance, you have to have service information. Like this is just a bare. It's like opening up a restaurant and saying, I don't have chairs or tables because otherwise I would have to jack up the price of my food. I also don't have ingredients.
yeah,
It's like
100%.
I don't buy salt.
Well, I mean, like seriously, we've got some. I was talking to a shop the other day, and he said, "Hey, he's like, I just don't understand like why I need to charge that much." And so we start working back through the financials. We're talking about insurance, and he points out, he's like, "Yeah, my insurance is this," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't know any 3-bay shop around that their insurance is like $45 a month." And he's like, "Yeah, that's all my insurance is." I'm like, "Bro, something is not right." And so we go look, and it's just a general liability policy, as if he was like a mobile tech or something like that doing side work. It wasn't an actual garage keeper policy. And I said, "Dude, you've got to have a garage keeper policy." He's like, no, I went and told him that I work on cars and they gave me this. I was like, your tools aren't covered because you don't have inland and marine. You don't have any coverage for other people's property. So if something happens to somebody's car in the shop, if something happens to one of your technician's tools, something like that, it's not covered. Like what? There's just a list of things that aren't covered because you're not properly covered. And he's like, well, but I mean, like, I don't want to have to raise my prices to pay for it. It's already really expensive. And I'm over here saying like, holy shit, my insurance is like $2,000 a month, right? Like how's this going to work? You know?
Stupid buildings.
I know, right? David ups the insurance on that building. He's just like, oh buddy, I'm just waiting. Please.
I'm waiting for the city to come cut me a check and make me go away. That's what I'm waiting for.
I think the city's just waiting on you to go away. I don't think they're going to cut a check.
This is going to be a standoff of wills. And trust me, if I've survived 13 years, I can survive another 13 years. Ducking the IRS in the state of Kansas.
Could either one of you imagine having a battle of the wills with David Roman? I mean, seriously, let's think about that for a second.
I'd probably give up pretty quick.
I put him and my wife in the same room, and I challenge David Roman to come out on top. It's not going to happen.
It depends on whether I have to live with your wife or not. If I don't have to live with her, trust me, I'm going to win.
Just while you're in the room.
Reminds me of that story of you remember the 3 FBI agents, or they were like going for the FBI test, and it was 3 women or 2 guys and 1 woman, and he says, hey, your significant other's in there, and to pass this test, you got to go in and kill him. And so the first one comes back out with tears in his eyes and says, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't kill my wife. And he says, okay. And the second one goes in there and says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't kill my wife. I just can't do it. And the third, the woman goes in and like they hear all this ruckus and all this noise, and she comes back out and she says, I'm really sorry, but the gun had blanks in it, so I had to beat him to death with the gun, you know. It's like, there's our life.
That's funny.
I don't know. I mean, I think that this is a complex industry. I share with David, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated with the way that the family business can pile up money in the shop. Just, dude, it feels like it's just constantly one bill after another. And it's so much work to keep the money rolling in and keep the accounts full. And then the tax bill comes and this comes and that comes. And it's like, I feel like it just depletes it right back out. And then I have to fight back, and I fight and I fight and I fight. And then one thing goes wrong, or I feel like I need to help somebody, And it is an exhausting business. There's no doubt about that. How do you manage that, Jacob? Like, what's your strategy for managing that stress load?
Yeah, fix it for us, Jacob. Fix it.
Yeah, I don't have a solution anymore. See, I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I don't have race cars anymore. My guns are all getting rusty in the locker in the basement. So yeah, I don't know. I go home and I see my kids and I pretend the shop doesn't exist.
Yes, me too. That's exactly
That is
what
a good
I
way
do.
to cope. That is a great way to cope.
100%.
What about you, Brett?
Same thing.
What's your strategy?
That's I've had a stressful day yesterday, and I called my wife and we just talked, and that was great. And I went home and we didn't talk shop.
Yeah.
We just went home and I played with my kids and had supper, and that's to me, that's the only way you can manage it. Otherwise you just drive yourself nuts. Like if I was a single man running the shop, I would be in the ground. I'm so stressed out I'd take a heart attack in a second.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%. And, you know, this class this weekend, right? Like a lot of the things that I took away from this class is when we walked away from it, I said, you know, I've always had this degree of extreme care for the client. And I'm not saying I'm going to stop caring for the client, but I am going to say that like it has to be able to be managed by somebody else. It has to be able to be ran without me managing every single aspect and looking at every single repair order and talking to every single client and handling each and every one of these diagnostic cases and going back and reviewing the repair order and say, did you do this? Did you do that? Because this is not sustainable, right? Mm-hmm. Like health wise for me, the amount of workload that I've always put on myself is not sustainable to offer that level. And so that means I have to be okay with a lesser level. I don't want to say lesser level of quality, but a lesser level of oversight. And so I need to be able to look at Jade and Eric and everybody in the shop and say, guys, I'm going to trust you to do what's best for the client. And here's your guardrails, and please don't exceed these guardrails. And then I'm going to have to be okay with them making mistakes and let them figure it out instead of me solving the problem for them. Because otherwise I can't see a way. Like, and I don't know if y'all know this, but like, since Jade came back, I've been completely hands off. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like she'll call and ask me a question about how to handle something. I come in and I show her the bank account balances and I talk about what bills are coming up and what's coming due. And she'll call and ask me like, hey, if you were in my shoes, how would you handle this? Mm-hmm. But I'm very much saying, you need to learn how to do this. You need to figure this out. I'm not going to do this for you because we've done that before and it doesn't work. Right? I'm not saying that I don't want to be part of the shop. I'm not saying that I don't want to care for the shop or I don't care about the people here. I'm saying that if I don't allow you to grow on your own, I'm always going to be doing it for you. Yeah. Right? And there's a video, and it's a Jordan Peterson video, and he's talking about maturation in your children. And he talks about the process of taking your child from an infant to a grown adult and talks about how you have a responsibility to not give them what they want and not to just accommodate every whim they have, because that creates an unsustainable human being, right? And I think a lot about that with my shop, and I think, you know, I have a responsibility to them to make them fight the fights I have fought to help them develop and grow this to the next level. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. I don't see any other way to do it. Are you going to put a manager in, Brett? What's your strategy for that?
I think that I'm leaning heavily towards it, and like the holdback at this point is, can I afford it? And I don't. It is another wage, and it's a significant wage. You got to pay a manager more than you pay anybody else, and whatever incentives you want to put on the table or whatever. But I've not found that person internally for sure. Yeah. I see glimmers in certain people that could do certain things, but no one person that could just, I guess, babysit and do it all. So that's the struggle. And it was the same thing even before, like when I was running the Napa store. I had a bigger pool of people. I had 30 people to pull from, and out of those 30 people, I had one person that I could trust and would trust. That's the bigger thing for me, is the trust aspect of it, and like letting somebody have access to the financials, being able to pay the bills and all. Like I just, that's my livelihood. That's like everything. Like if
scary.
It's terrifying. Yeah. And my wife's hands off with the business because she's a teacher. She doesn't have time for this place. So that is the struggle right now. I thought about maybe just doing like outsourcing some of the stuff, some of the bookkeeping and the office work, but you need to be here. That person needs to have a hand on the pulse. So it's a struggle for sure.
Jacob, what about you? What's your strategy?
As far as management, I'm the manager, and I will be for the next few years. I think I probably got to add 4 or 5 more staff members under the manager before I can really consider that position. So, right now I keep all the ducks in a line, or as well as possible.
Right.
Do
when you have to
feel
take time off, when you take time off, what happens? Like, if you need to take a week off and you go on a vacation, how do bills get paid? How does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I pay them while I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
So
that doesn't sound like a vacation.
That's like the money side of everything. The shop still runs. I spent a lot of time building our SOPs and setting the guardrails for Alex and Aaron. To be able to run things. But yeah, as far as the next level up, it's just me.
Yeah. I can see that. And I it's just, at some point it becomes so much that it pours over into the family life and everything else. And I realize that I put so much pressure on myself saying it has to be perfect and I have to have this right, that I end up in a situation where it's not sustainable, right? And because we offered, and like diagnostics is a great example of this. I've fixed things that nobody else could fix, not because I'm a great technician, but because I didn't have a choice. They were going to get fixed one way or another, and I was not going to let it beat me, right? I owned the place. And so I took great pride in making sure no matter what came through the door got fixed. And guess what? We built a reputation for fixing very, very difficult jobs that everybody else had turned away. Well, guess what? There aren't too many people who will put that level of care, attention, and detail into something that's not theirs. So how do you hire somebody that can do that? How do you, look, I'm not even talking about base skill. I'm talking about how do you hire somebody who's willing to sit down at home and spend hours trying to understand how a system works and put the effort in to properly fix the car and to figure out what's going on with it and create a plan to understand it and then implement it, right? Too many people just say, man, I'm not paid enough for that. Like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And if it doesn't fix the car, like, sorry, bud. Right? Like, I hate to tell you. I feel like Jeff all of a sudden. Sorry, bud. It's the Canadian in the recording. I can't help myself. But, I just don't know how, to a degree, I wish I had not made such a complex organization. I wish I had not pushed so hard to make it such a high-end deal.
I think that's a level of stubborn on our parts, and I think that's part of what drove us to build our own business, is because we knew we could do something better. And for me, I knew I could provide a better environment for my employees than anything else that was available in my area.
Right.
But I think that when we strive for perfection like that, and we're willing to work 100-hour weeks, and as if we're like Brett, if I was a single man, I'd be working 100-hour weeks. Yeah. So I'm grateful for my family there. But then when we go to hire, we're looking for somebody that has that same drive or stubbornness, that is willing to do whatever it takes to fix that car. And most people aren't that person.
Yeah, and it turns out that if they are that person, they're very, very difficult to work with. And they probably should not be an employee and should have their own shop.
Yeah.
Right? If somebody has that level of ability and that level of drive and compassion for it, they're going to go start their own thing. They're not going to be working for us.
Yeah.
And so it almost guarantees that you have to have a lower standard or a more manageable standard,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very true. I don't like phrasing it like that, but you have to realize who you're hiring isn't yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Now, let me ask the both of you this, because you both have families. How do you manage the shop not rolling over into family life? And that, buddy, that was a big topic of this weekend, right? And when I talk about this weekend, I'm talking about Leadership Intensive. The Institute hosted it here at my shop. And we were talking a lot about how the business can roll over into family life, and that is not acceptable. Right. And it's hard to avoid that happening. Now, we've gotten pretty good in my house. We just don't talk about it. Right. Like, we'll talk about money and glancing, blows, but never anything like, hey, we're going through this and we're trying to deal with this, and this is the problem and that's the problem. I have to turn the shop off when I get home. I can't be looking at shopware. I can't be looking at the emails. I can't be checking the voicemail, because it causes an emotional response in me that makes me less of the dad and husband that I want to be. Yeah. Now, when you're a shop and you're the manager, guess what? You kind of have that responsibility to handle those things. You can't just turn those things off. A client's car caught on fire after it left your shop. You got to call them back, right? And so I'm thankful to have a manager that handles those things now. How do you guys handle it?
I've cut off my means of communication after hours, and you're right. You should be handling that stuff. We do a pretty good job of setting expectations of, hey, when you pick your car up, the next time you can talk to us is 7:00 tomorrow morning. We use a CRM that allows people to text us and everything, but I turned it off on my phone.
Yeah,
because not only am I looking at it all the time, and I'm responding at inappropriate times, which trains my customers improperly.
100%.
But even sometimes during work, I get on there and I respond to somebody, and by the time I've finished typing my response, the guy who's supposed to do it at the front counter did too, and then we sent him 2 messages.
Yeah,
usually in line, but
occasionally not.
I just turned it off, and it's the same for me. If I'm getting on shopware, if I'm getting on the emails at home, then I'm not paying attention to the kids.
Yeah.
And my wife and I talk business all the time. She's got her own thing in business, and I'm doing the shop, and so after the kids are in bed, a lot of times we're talking about work. So it's not a complete separation of church and state, but I think that's part of who we are in talking about that stuff too. So,
Brett, how do you manage?
I think I tried a little bit too hard at the beginning, separating it completely, because it's not what I was making decisions for the business that I wasn't discussing with my wife. Fairly big ones, and that was wrong. We've had a few knockout dragouts over that, but we're in a better place as far as that's concerned. I try not to. I try to mitigate the bitching and moaning about this customer and their disgusting vehicle, or this ungrateful this and that. I mean, we'll talk about it and then move on. I don't. I do a little bit of work on the weekends. Mostly I try to process, like, payroll be one thing. I try to process it Sunday just before, so it's done and out of the way, and I don't have to. Sometimes when there's no staff around, that's the only time I can get any work done. So, but otherwise, I go home at the end of the night. We have supper. We talk about whatever happened through the day, and then we just try and embed myself in the kids' lives and what they're doing. If my daughter's playing her Nintendo Switch or her Pokemon games, or I try to do that with her if I can help it. And then same thing with my son, just try and be there for him and what he's doing. And but oftentimes I have a hard time finding time just to talk to my wife that's not 10, 11 o'clock at night right before you go to bed. So just because it's always moving all the time, right? It does insert itself at times. Like, there was Facebook's one thing, because nobody else has access to the shop's Facebook where they can actually answer people. So I do step in after hours there, try to keep it as minimal as I can. There was one, we'll say, egregious thing that happened actually this past weekend, Facebook related. I got tagged in a post. One of my shop loaners got caught on a dash cam completely cutting somebody off, basically violating 3 different traffic laws at the same time. So we had talked about, Sarah caught it. She let me know. And then we started kind of deciding, well, what the hell are we going to do? And it wrote off our Sunday. Like Monday
Yeah.
was our Thanksgiving, Sunday, I guess too. But so our Sunday anywhere afternoon was kind of a write off, just signing what to do, how to get a hold of the customer and know what we're going to do. And then, so we ended up going to get the car and try to be as polite as we can. Like, we caught you and this and that. And it wasn't much of an argument, but again, it took the day, and that's, if it wasn't for
I don't label my cars, bro. So when they do that, nobody's taking pictures and sending it to me, you know?
Yeah. Well, and we have, like, I like to advertise the fact that we have shop loaners, because nobody else in this town does. Even a lot of the dealerships have given up on it. So it's a sell point for us. I think it has brought in a fair bit of revenue as far as that's concerned. We have some customers that they can only come in if we have something for them to drive, or at least that's what they tell us. But we had to, luckily the customer's vehicle was drivable. It wasn't done, but it was drivable. So no, you get to take your vehicle back and the parts come in. We'll do that. Here's your, and we'll take the car and carry on. We offered her to show her the video and this and that. She just wasn't receptive in any way, shape, or form. But she did come back. She got the vehicle fixed. Whether or not she'll be back again, who knows?
Yeah, but, for sure.
That was an invasion for sure.
And look, I go through the same thing. And really what I've done is I've completely turned it off on the weekends. And it'll just have to wait till next week. And every other business does the exact same thing. Right? Yeah. Like, if you go to a restaurant that's closed on Saturday and Sunday, you're not going to be able to call the owner and say, hey, I've got a problem with the food you cooked. Right? Like, that's not going to happen. I tell you the two big ones that we did. Malin Newton said something that stuck with me. And he said when he got home at night, he would go in and he would ask each member of his family to tell him what the best part of their day was. And he said, I wasn't thinking about anything else. He said, I didn't say, how was your day? Did you have a good day? What was the best part of it? And he said, I really listened. He's like, I made myself listen to what they said in response. And then we had a conversation about what they said. And he said, it caused me to disconnect from the shop because we just changed the subject and we went on. The other thing that we do in my family is the kids and everybody love to play Fortnite. So 6:00 every night is family Fortnite. And that's just what we do. And so we go in and we play a video game together. We don't talk about anything else. We get engaged in the game and we have a good time. And so it helps break that up and gets some separation between the two things. And I'm learning more and more. You know what? Even the loaner situation, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but even the loaner situation, what would have happened if you didn't do anything?
She might have gotten in an accident, and there's more things in the background. My staff didn't do their job. Yeah, there was no signatures, I didn't get a deposit, got nothing. They didn't do it right at all.
Okay.
If not for that, if they had gone through the entire process properly, I probably would just left it go until Tuesday.
But even if, right? Let me just ask, even if, what would have happened? What would have been the worst case scenario?
I guess she gets in the worst case scenario, she kills somebody.
Yeah.
Because, and then insurance gets involved and God knows how that goes, I could not even imagine what kind of snowball that would start.
Right. But at the end of the day, right? Chances are that's a pretty low probability of that happening.
Probably. Yeah.
Right. And as business owners, we try and come up with the answer. And oftentimes we make it this big, huge problem. Chances are nothing would have happened. Right.
Yeah.
Even if she got into an accident. What's going to happen? Well, we don't have coverage for the car. Our insurance is going to pay for it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. You see, we spin this up for ourselves. We spin this into bigger deals than it really is. And because we care so much about it, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's already happened. Oftentimes, there's not anything we can do about the things that have happened. And so when we get home, we got to turn off. Right. Yeah. I'm just telling you, as a business owner that's done this, let's see, I started in 2007. Right. And I'm telling you right now, 90% of these cases that I worried myself to death with over the weekend and dealt with all this stuff. I mean, right now I've got a lady saying that, long story short, we put a Jasper transmission in her vehicle like 4 years ago. It comes back in. It's out of warranty. It's out of warranty on age and it's out of warranty on mileage. She raises Cain about it. We put a used transmission in it. Says no warranty expressed or implied. Okay. 3 weeks later, she calls and she says, hey, my car's making this funny sound. I'm sure it has something to do with the transmission. Now, we've told this woman, I've got 6 documented occasions where we said, you need to sell this vehicle. This vehicle is not safe. It's not reliable. It has leaks everywhere. It has lots of large leaks. It has lots of big issues. I understand it has sentimental value. You need to have a different vehicle to drive. This cannot be your daily driver. You're going to invest a fortune in it. She continues to spend money in it. She calls and says the vehicle burnt down, and it's the result of the vacuum actuator on the transmission. And I said, ma'am, it's a 4L60E. It doesn't have a vacuum actuator on the transmission. She said, no, it was pumping transmission fluid into the intake, and that's why it caught on fire. And I said, ma'am, there's no vacuum lines going from that transmission to your intake.
No.
And you know, years ago, I would have lost it. I would have been so worried. I would have been so upset.
Yeah.
It says all over the repair order, this was goodwill. There's no warranty expressed or implied. The client takes responsibility for the vehicle and the transmission. The client knows that the vehicle is in exceedingly poor condition, right? Like, I've learned all these things over the years.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I have to have separation from this business or it will destroy me.
Yeah.
Right? I can't be the business. It has to be separate from me. And so just one business owner to the other, like, even when the crazy stuff happens on weekends, you smile and say, I'm sorry, there's not really much I can do this weekend. I'll try and get you taken care of Monday.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't say anything. Say it Monday.
Don't say anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't answer.
Ghost them.
Yeah, if you're not available.
Just don't be there. Don't be available.
Ghost
100%.
them.
When you're available, you're training people that you're available.
Exactly.
That's when you get the 10 o'clock text on a Friday night. Oh, my car won't start.
Yeah.
You know what? There's 24-hour towing services. They can go
To the shop. I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. And I'm just going to tell you, look on social media, you're like, oh my God, but what if people on social media say something that's not true? Bro, everything on social media is not true.
It's all lies.
The percentage of honest content on social media is so low. Like, and if people believe it, they're an idiot, right? Like, what can you do about it? Nothing. Don't let it eat you up.
Yeah.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for being here. This was a blast. I can't wait to see y'all at the next training event. Brett, what's the next training event you're going to?
Well, SEMA's probably a little bit too close. We're moving. So that would, or Apex would be my choice. So it'll probably be something in the springtime. I'll have to look at the schedule and see.
Jacob, where are we going to see you next?
Asta 26.
Nice. Can't wait, buddy. Y'all have a good one.